leftovers, or the DMV,
Number 97,
or house cleaning, or
Chumba Casino always brings the fun. Play over 100 different games online for free from anywhere. You could redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. Live the Chumba life. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
When you stay at a Vrbo vacation home, the host doesn't stay with you. So when you share an inside joke, sunscreen, or a couch, it will only be with people you want to be there. Because without privacy in your vacation home, it isn't really a vacation. Is it? Only whole vacation homes. Always private. Book on the Vrbo app.
Wow, Westfield, we are excited to be back for another episode of the Shamrocks Sportscast. Obviously, last week we were off, but today we are going to be recapping the last couple of weeks in Westfield sports, as well as some potential other fun segments for you guys. As always, I am Sam.
No introduction needed. My name is Evan Cummings.
And I'm Aiden McNally.
And Evan, kick it over to you for the sports recap.
All right, let's get the bad out of the way now. Let's get the bad vibes out of the way now. Some tough news, yes. Both the girls and boys soccer teams lost in sectionals, particularly the first round, which you never like to see. You know, I wanted both those teams to go far. Those are two great teams, but that's just the way the cookie crumbled. It was a different story, though, for the cross-country teams, as the boys finished second and the girls finished third. Just to note, the boys team had a record-shattering performance by Sam Hines, a 15:56, which was just amazing, and Jack Lozelle had a 16 flat. In the last 2 weeks, the volleyball team has done a stellar job at boosting their confidence towards the sectional season. They won first over Hamilton Heights 3-0, then had arguably their biggest win of the season over Fishers on senior night, 3-2. Chloe Sutek, Emma Dodson, and Lucy Mantel all had over 10 kills in that game, which is just awesome. And then football, obviously, as we know. I feel like we should cover at least a little bit of each game that happened and then preview the next game. So
we haven't lost a football game since you last heard from us. We are 2-0 in the last couple weeks. We beat Avon 35-21. A good game there. It was kind of shaky in the first half, but we ended up putting a good amount of points up on the board in the second half to get us the win. Cole Ballard in that game didn't have much of a passing performance this game. It was more on the rushing side for him, as he had 64 yards on 16 carries and 3 rushing touchdowns. But he also had 3 rushing touchdowns in the Fishers game. 28-17, the Rocks took that win. It was a defensive slugfest in the first half. It was 7-7 when both teams were going into the locker rooms at halftime. Cole Ballard,
actually.
Yeah. Cole Ballard had an extraordinary performance on the ground. He had 11 carries for 106 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's 9.6 yards per carry for Cole. But then he also had a good game passing as well. He went 10 for 15, 1 touchdown, 84.6 QBR. So this football team is carrying a very good amount of momentum heading into Franklin Central this week, which we'll talk about in a second, as well as their sectional matchup against Carmel after fall break.
Which that's going to be a really good game. Like people always think, oh, Carmel just destroys Westfield at everything.
No.
This year we have a very realistic chance of beating Carmel in sectionals, which the last time we played Carmel in sectionals was, I think, my freshman year. And we obviously know how that game went. Mason Peening nearly died off trying to go for a catch. But we have a new team now, a completely new team, and this is going to be a really good game at Carmel. Historically, our matchups have been a little lopsided against Carmel, but this year we're looking way more confident, and Carmel's not looking so confident, so I feel like there's going to be a really good game there.
Yeah, and take this for what it's worth, but, you guys remember week 0, we played in the scrimmage at Ben Davis against both Ben Davis and Carmel, and we certainly held our own against the Greyhounds. And I would even say, they probably won that scrimmage. Like I said, just a scrimmage, and both of these teams have grown a lot from that day. However, these teams are right there in terms of talent level.
And I would argue last year's Westfield team would have
dismantled this team.
Obviously, it's not the same team this year, but I mean, it's the same family. I mean, we had multiple juniors last year start that are seniors this year, and we even had multiple sophomores such as Colton Vondersar and William Goodvine. So, I mean, we still have the capabilities of last year, and I'm excited for this Carmel game, and I think it's going to be really, really close.
By the way, just something to note, Cole Ballard has had 7 offensive touchdowns in the past 2 games.
6 of them have been on the ground.
6 of them have been on the ground.
Wow. Yeah.
He's turning into Lamar Jackson.
I think he actually has, hold on, let me pull this up real quick. I think he has like 10 rushing touchdowns on the season.
I think it's 11. I think I have that in the game notes for Franklin Central this week.
That's crazy.
And I think, you got to give a lot of credit to Coach Slicker for how he's sort of dealt with Cole over the past few weeks where, Cole was a guy who grew up, once he came to Westfield, he was never a quarterback. He was, an athletic wide receiver. He had always had those high levels of athleticism. And, obviously he made the switch a couple years ago to quarterback. But, Coach Slicker, Coach Gilbert taking advantage of that athleticism to help the game plan and really throw the defense on a loop.
This Fishers game, by the way, was kind of a statement win because Fishers is a really good team. They were 5-2 going into the matchup, and they had some close games against some tough opponents and then blown out some other opponents. And this game really could have gone either way, but the Rocks in the second half stepped up and really, really performed. So it was a great win overall for the football team against Fishers.
Yep. So now I kind of want to dive into Franklin Central, what we're going to look into this week. Obviously on Friday, the Rocks are at home against the Flashes of Franklin Central. This Franklin Central team is probably the most up and down team in the HCC.
That's a perfect way to describe them.
Yeah.
They got destroyed by Brownsburg 42-7. They only lost to Zionsville by 7. Beat Avon by 17. We only beat Avon by 14. Beat Noblesville 21-7. Lost to Fishers, which I could see. And then they got destroyed by Hamilton Southeastern 38-14. I don't know what to expect because this Franklin Central team could just come in and probably randomly put 40 on us. It's really on and off for them, but I don't know. I think Westfield definitely has no trouble in this one. Franklin Central's 3-5. Their last game is obviously against us. I don't know who they drew in sectionals.
Center Grove.
They drew that. They drew Center
They drew
Grove.
that
Yeah.
dynasty.
So their season will be over pretty soon.
So, and you wonder if they're, already feeling those nerves already.
Yeah.
Even a week out or a couple weeks out.
They had their toughest 3. They had who'd they have last week?
HSC.
HSC.
Yeah.
Then they have us, and then they have Center Grove. They can't catch a break.
That is a terrible 3-week stretch right there.
And, I think the underlying story of this game is, we all know who Franklin Central's starting quarterback is, right?
Nathan Tutterow.
Mr. Nevin Tutterow.
Nevin. Oh, wow.
Former Westfield Shamrock.
That's right.
He, if you guys don't know Nevin, he grew up in the Westfield system, and he was a solid player. And then his family moved down there, so it's going to be he's a sophomore, but it's going to be one of those things where
revenge stories.
Maybe we see a little bit of chippiness between him and some of his fellow sophomore classmates at Westfield, but just an interesting storyline. And he's had a great year so far.
Yeah,
especially being a sophomore playing at that level in a tough conference.
I think if Franklin Central wants any hope of winning this game, they have to tackle, because I'm looking at the stats right now. Westfield has 71.9 tackles per game. Franklin Central is 45.
Yeah, I was going to say probably in the 40s.
That is kind of atrocious. I mean, it's it's the fundamentals that'll win you games. Westfield
Yeah.
has certainly learned those over the last couple weeks. And Franklin Central, they're no different. They have to get fundamental football down before they can start getting tricky. And they just, they have a really tough test.
And I don't know what happened to the defensive line from the Rocks. After that Brownsburg loss, they just flipped a switch and they just been on everything. Really, they're really the reason why this defense has been so electric the past couple weeks. But back to Mr. Tutterow, he's coming off a good performance against HSE. 17 for 32, 178 yards, a touchdown, no interception. That'll equal out to a 79.9 QBR rating. His main target is probably going to be Jayon Harvey or Anthony Coker. They both had over 50 receiving yards last week in their matchup.
Can't wait to broadcast this game. So many hard names on Franklin Central.
Yeah.
We've learned the Westfield names by now, but every single new team that comes in here is just they have a couple players with hard names to pronounce.
Yeah. I think Jayon Harvey's probably going to be the main target, though. He had the touchdown that Tutterow threw. So it is going to be really fun to see how Jake Good, Reese Wire, Braden Wagner are going to lock these people down. And I feel like the HSC running game is not good at all. They had a total of 60 rushing yards amongst 5 different people that carried the ball last week. So I feel like if Jake Good, Tyler Dykes, Charlie Digger, if anybody does their job, I don't see how the Rocks will have a problem in this one.
Franklin Central, by the way, is the worst first quarter and fourth quarter scoring teams in the HCC. They averaged 2.9 points in the first quarter and 2.1 in the fourth quarter. Westfield averages 7.8 in the first quarter and 9.6 in the fourth quarter. Now, granted, we're a little shaky in between, 3.9 in the second and 6.9 in the third quarter, but if you can start the game strong and end the game strong, I feel like Westfield will 100% blow Franklin Central out of the water in terms of offense.
Yeah, and, I hate to get ahead of ourselves here, but, ideally in this game, Westfield's able to rest some of their guys in the second half, because ultimately they do get a bye week next week, but, the sectional game against Carmel is a lot more meaningful than this game, and if they can hopefully get a lead in the first half, then I'm sure we'll see that reflect with who's playing in the second half.
You don't want to lose any of your key players, especially in a game as little amounting as this. Westfield's already locked up third place in the conference with their win last week.
Yeah, we're not going to get first. There's really
it's whoever wins the HSC Brownsburg game, which is going to be game of the year in Indiana. I
think Brownsburg's taking that.
I think Brownsburg's going to take it too because they've just been way more consistent.
They're so good.
They've been blowing teams out of the water like crazy these last couple weeks, and HSC is getting some slimmer wins, and I think it'll really come down to the offense in both of those games.
Let me look at something real quick.
And I think Brownsburg just has their number, and that'll be a really good game.
So Brownsburg are
they're both
8.5 point favorites.
Really?
There's a line?
Betting on high school football seems a little immoral, but
yeah.
There's a line?
Yeah.
No way.
Well, they're not like it's not like a line. It's just like
yeah.
But still,
that I was like, what? I don't think that's legal.
I think, betting on high school sports is probably illegal. I'm looking at the projection. I swear.
Yes.
okay.
So, on lines, money lines, over unders. Westfield are 11.5 point favorites over Franklin Central.
I think we'll cover that pretty easily.
What do you guys think about that? And also, what are your score predictions?
So the line is 11.5. I think we'll cover that pretty easily.
Okay, it's not a line, but it's
we're gonna
favorite.
call it a line.
No, we're not.
That is how to get.
We are
off.
favored by 11.5 points according to someone out there.
Stop
According
it.
to Max
We
Preps, yeah.
Westfield is winning this game 35-10.
Whoa.
Yeah, baby.
I'm gonna stay in the 35. I'm gonna go 35-17.
I think
maybe 21.
I think our defense will shut them down pretty easily, and I think our offense will find something, and I think we'll get into the 40s. I think we'll go 42-17. I feel like that's a pretty good prediction. I feel like we'll let up 1 field goal, 2 touchdowns, and then the only reason that we will not get above 45, 50 points is because our second strings will come in around the fourth quarter, early in the fourth quarter. And we've seen this before. Our second strings, kind of inexperienced, and drives will stall in this game. But overall, I think it'll be a really good game for us. And I feel like Cole Ballard and Gabe Bolus and Kendall Garnett will get the resting time they need before sectionals. And we'll see what happens then.
Speaking on second strings, I'm kind of surprised that Gilbert put the second strings in only up by 11. I mean, I guess there are only like 4 minutes left, but I don't know. Fisher's had some momentum.
They did.
In the
they
last
really
few
did.
minutes.
They scored. I think they had more fourth quarter points than us. I think, or we were even. But yeah, honestly, whenever coaches do that, it shows a sign of confidence in the second stringers, which is always good.
Yeah.
It shows that you have confidence in your team next year and for years to come, especially if you have a team as young as we do. We don't have a whole lot of seniors that are making a huge impact on this team. Cole Ballard and Alex Ashley and Dylan Thieneman, and some come to mind that do make an impact. But there are a lot of bench warriors that get the sidelines hype and get the crowd hype as well. So leadership is very strong at Westfield.
Yeah, and, we mentioned this earlier, but can we just throw it back to this weekend at Noblesville, cross country here? Sam Hines.
Yeah.
Break 16.
Oh, my goodness.
This dude is one of, 15 to 20 athletes in the history of Westfield to ever break 16. And he's going up with some of the greatest runners we've ever seen. This was an incredible race. And we had Owen on a couple weeks ago, and remember, they're running at the same track for their regional as well. So, talk about having some confidence heading into regional after just an incredible race. That's one of those deals where one guy runs a race like that, and that just sort of
lights a fire
under him as well as his teammates too, to sort of prove that they'll be able to continue to do that. So, what a race! And Sam Hines, congratulations, that's awesome. Keep it up.
I'm gonna be honest. Out of everyone on that sectional lineup, I didn't think it would be Sam to do that. I think it might have been Owen. But Sam is very
Sam's
competitive.
A hard worker.
He is a very hard worker.
Sam
he
is insane.
Awesome.
I'm not surprised he's the one who got that. No. I'm really not.
In everything he does, in cross country and racing, he shows the maximum effort every single race, and it is just really awesome to see him succeed.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've been pulling for him for so long, and he is just an awesome human being and an awesome athlete. So, congratulations, Sam.
And just like you guys said, it's on the same track, so maybe this kind of
repeat.
Maybe this kind of sets a fire, and he really proved himself that he's capable of breaking 16, and hopefully he goes above and beyond and even break his time. What was his time?
15:56.
Yeah.
15:56. That's unfathomable.
Beat it by 4 seconds.
Maybe he beats 15:56 this next time coming into regionals. That is crazy.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
Jiminy
holy
Christmas.
crap.
That's so good. Here, I'm gonna pull up the converters just so our listeners can understand how quick of a mile that is. Oh gosh.
The fact that only 16 people in Westfield history have done this is kind of just crazy. Yeah. I don't think has anyone done it besides Kai Connor in the last 4 years.
I doubt it.
I would assume Kai Connor's done it.
Oh, for sure. Kai Connor's probably
the
greatest runner to ever come through this school.
It's about a 5-minute mile, boys.
5-minute mile?
Just over. Isn't that ridiculous?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. I'm not joking.
Oh, my God.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
So he ran 5 minutes a mile for...
About 3 miles.
Yeah. That is crazy.
Yeah. Also, on another note, girls volleyball.
Oh, yeah.
Plays in their sectional tomorrow night. They take on the winner of the big game tonight at HSE versus Carmel. Should be a good opportunity for the Rocks to prove that they are a contender in this sectional. And obviously it was a good draw getting the bye first week.
Yeah.
So going to be interesting to see how that works
They
out.
have a very tough matchup against either HSE or Carmel. Both teams are amazing, and both teams have beat Westfield actually earlier in the season.
I know Carmel beat us 3-1, and then HSE beat us 3-0. Yeah.
But after seeing what Westfield was able to do against Fishers on senior night, you can't rule anything out with this team.
That was an amazing win.
They're tougher than all get out, I'll tell you that.
Did they? Is the sectional game Friday? Tomorrow?
Theirs is Saturday.
Oh.
Is it Saturday?
Yeah, because they have the
okay.
bye.
I was gonna say you can't put the sectional game on the same night as the
same
football.
night as the
Yeah.
last home game.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. The last regular season home game, I should say.
Yeah.
I believe if we beat Carmel, then we get home field for the sectional championship.
Which will probably be against
It's either
Noblesville or
Zionsville. So that could be a toss-up because
probably Zionsville.
Noblesville
Noblesville's improved though.
Did Noblesville beat Zionsville earlier in the season?
I'm looking that up right now.
I think Zionsville beat them.
I think Zionsville did beat
Zionsville
them.
lost to Avon, which coming back from the Fishers game, I figured out, and I was shocked by that.
That has got to be embarrassing to be the first loss to a winless team.
I think Noblesville is the same way
first one.
last year because Noblesville was the only loss or the only win for Avon.
Oh wow, okay. So Zionsville versus Noblesville, 39-7 Eagles.
Oh.
So
They just got to run it back. I mean, it's that simple.
Jeez.
yeah.
Noblesville plays a really weird wing T offense.
We've known that, and then we've known that for a while.
Yeah, I mean they don't look like they're going to change. They have incorporated some a little more passing in the last couple of years, but yeah, I feel like Zionsville will win that comfortably.
And this doesn't really relate to anything at all. I just want to point this out because this is insane. Zionsville lost to Brownsburg at home, 50-3.
Yeah,
versus Brownsburg. So.
Brownsburg is so good.
And you know what? Zionsville's actually been on kind of a bad stretch. They're on a 3-game losing streak, and they've gotten destroyed all three of those games.
Oh, well, I mean...
Except Avon. They lost by a touchdown to Avon.
They played off their rocker against us, I
Yeah.
have to say. They played really well.
Yes.
That was early on in the year, and
Eugene Hilton,
he was so good that day.
oh my gosh, he was electric.
He brings a crowd wherever he goes. I have no doubt that he will bring it to Noblesville. I think, is that where it's held?
Yeah, it's at... Actually, I don't know. Hold on, let me see. It is Friday.
I think it's
It's
Noblesville.
it's at Noblesville, yeah.
I figured. Eugene Hilton's only a sophomore, by the way. So if you are a freshman or sophomore, you still got 2 more years of seeing this guy play against Westfield.
Yeah.
He's like a fine wine. He only gets better with age. Because last year, was he on the freshman team or was he on varsity? I can't remember if he was on varsity or not.
I can't remember. All I
so
know is that
far-
he's good and he can catch balls.
Yeah. So far this year, he's put up 491 reception yards, 41 receptions, and 5 reception touchdowns. His best performance, ironically, was against Westfield because he had 9 receptions for 44 yards.
Yeah, and then I think he had 2 touchdowns, right?
No, he only had 1.
1.
His 2 touchdown game is against Noblesville.
I remember he had a touchdown because I remember commentating that game, and then he shushed the crowd. Shushed the student section.
Of course.
Down
why not?
I think they were down 10 at that point. I was like, dude, you can't do that.
His last couple weeks, though, besides the Avon game where he put up 110 yards, 47 yards, 8 yards, 37 yards. So he's been kind of on a downhill slope. But who do they play this? Who do they have this week?
No, Fishers.
Fishers.
Yeah.
I feel like he should do fine that game because
I think Zionsville comes out on top in that one. Although they've that 3-game losing streak is so convincing that they'll lose, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
You can only do so much with Christian Abney and Eugene Hilton because outside of him and maybe Wrigley Baumgartner, Christian Abney does not pass to anyone else on that Zionsville offense.
Yeah.
You know what I'd love to talk about and dive into?
What?
The sectional system as a whole
That
in 6A football.
Yeah, I mean,
So what about
fact
it?
that-
That there's only 4 teams a sectional?
yeah. Well,
Not that. It's the fact that, you get the Carmels of the world and the Westfields of the world in the same sectional. And if they win that, they have to play the HSEs of the world. It's just crazy how concentrated some of these sectionals get.
Mm-hmm.
Are we really able to figure out who the best team in the state is if they're beating up on each other in the early rounds of these sectionals?
exactly. They should make it like a March Madness thing. You have like I don't know how many teams there are in 6A, but there's
32.
Like 32. Perfect.
Yeah.
Have a March Madness style bracket.
So
rank them and then
I
send them
don't
on
think
their way.
you can do that.
So
but
well, obviously, in theory, it's a great idea.
I would love that.
And the only issue with just having all 32 go into the pot would be travel.
Yeah.
Travel would be an issue because you wouldn't want to send,
Logansport to like.
and this would probably have to be a 6A only thing to start at least, where you wouldn't want to have Homestead traveling to one of the Evansville schools on a Friday night,
Or have
Or like
Westfield
Center
travel to
Grove
Merrillville.
traveling to like
But
Harrison.
you know what you could do. You already have the north side. You have the south side of the bracket, pretty much, right? You have maybe if you took the 16 teams in the north and seeded those, the 16 teams in the south and seeded those, and then you did like March Madness.
Or they could just like
North
meet in
and
like a
south.
neutral site.
Could
Just like meet
Well,
in the
that's
middle.
what
I don't
state
know.
is.
That
I mean-
that would be hard though because everyone would have to meet in the middle. And
yeah.
Well, Cathedral already has a neutral site because they don't have a football field. They play
Yeah.
all their games at, I think, an alternate site or something like that. But
I
they
remember
they've never had a
our
home game.
our football field was their home field for.
Yeah.
a
That's
year.
right. Was it last year or 2 years
It
ago?
was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
It was our junior year. So last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So certainly it's easy to call out what's wrong with the system, and if you don't have a solution for it. But I think this is kind of one of those things where, we're all starting to recognize, and it's been a thing that's gone on for a while, and the likelihood of changing it is very slim. But certainly it's frustrating to see some of these really good teams get matched
out
up
early.
very early on in the playoffs.
One last thing that I want to mention about sectionals is I can't remember if it's sectional 4 or sectional 3, but you have Brownsburg and Ben Davis, two of the best teams in
state.
Indiana, and then you have Avon and Pike
Yeah. What?
in the same sectional.
It-
So
like-
whoever wins that game is going to have to play the
Like,
best team in the state
what
or Ben Davis.
What they need to do is like it shouldn't be a draw. Like you can have certain sectionals, but it shouldn't be a draw. Like
Have
you're-
like a coach's poll or something pick.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna tell me that you're gonna put Brownsburg and Ben Davis together in the first. These are like two teams that could potentially meet in like semi-state.
Yeah.
and they're going to do.
They actually did last year.
Doing battle in the first round, and then you're gonna have Avon and Pike playing on the other side of the sectional.
Gemini.
Terrible.
Yeah. It's flawed, and I'd love to dive into it during basketball season
Oh, yeah.
because I think
Speaking of basketball season, girls and boys basketball are in session. They are having
practices,
preseason
yeah.
workouts. They have scrimmages scheduled. That is going to be a fun one to pod about.
100%. I can't wait for basketball season pods. I mean,
jeez.
we could possibly get your Alex Romacks of the world, your Trayson Buchanan's of the world
I love Trayson.
for Trayson in for an interview like after a
Oh,
game
yeah,
or
for
something
sure.
like that. So if Trey drops 30 against Noblesville, Cam Hafner style, we could have him in here and get an interview. So basketball season pods are going to be out of the charts. Alan, you're looking like you want to tell me something or you have a question or something like that.
Yes, we got a couple mailbag questions
Okay.
today.
Mailbag.
Mailbag.
boy. Oh,
First
boy.
one is favorite Westfield win of all time.
Favorite Westfield win of all time.
Oh,
Favorite West.
I know this off the top of my head.
So we look back at the archives of our 4 years, or 3.228.
3.
Yeah, about give or take years. Who wants to start? Because there's gonna be some overlap here.
Yeah, I feel like there's one. I feel like there's one that we're all gonna reach for, and
You want to start, Aiden?
I'll start it. I feel like the one that we're all gonna reach for is the Westfield versus Carmel basketball game.
Yeah.
Whether it's the first one or the second one, I feel like the second one was a little bit better than the first one. The first one was like, I'm not dissing on the first one at all. The second one was just like the nail in the coffin, the sectional win.
It was more important.
Yeah, our first ever sectional win in school history, knocking out the juggernaut. I mean, the scenes.
They are a juggernaut. Like, that's the thing.
And just the vibes of that game. We saw a Westfield student get kicked out of the student section.
That was Matt Morris.
And that was
pitcher,
like
yeah.
that just even heightened the tensions even more.
Yeah.
Like, just think about that.
If anything, that pumped us up more than it brought it
That
down.
Noblesville gym that night was packed.
Great gym, by the way. I
That
love
was.
Mhm.
I think they redid it though.
Really?
This year, so they'll
Love
have a
it.
brand new look come.
Any other wins you guys want to mention?
Yeah, I think the very next game, Homestead, was a great game.
Yeah.
That was a very fun one. You know, Westfield got down early and kind of stayed in it, but it wasn't really that close. And there was, you know, they were down like, I want to say like 11 to 9 points with like 7 minutes left.
Yeah.
And Hafner just caught fire and brought us back. And
30 points in the fourth quarter. Not by Cam, but by the entire team.
It was the Homestead game where Cam Hafner had the 360
Yeah.
layup jelly.
Yeah, uh-huh.
That was insane.
yeah, that was a great
highlight reel, walking highlight reel.
That got posted on Ball His Life.
Also, like, you know, it wasn't a close game, but when Westfield knocked off Fishers,
Oh my god.
That was that was the most
whole-
satisfying win.
that whole
because of how
sectional-
bad they beat us earlier.
Because I remember before I was on the road to the Noblesville gym, and I was going on Instagram and I see Fisher's Barstool post. It was like, sectional run starts today. We're the number 1 team in the state.
Not for long.
We're gonna beat the Shamrocks. They're probably, I think it was like some nickname. And then Braden Smith. The thing is, we lost by 20 to them earlier in the season, but we didn't have Braden.
Yeah.
Braden comes back. Did he have a trip? I think that was the game he had a
He had
triple
a
double.
triple-double, yeah.
Like, and you could tell it was our game. 5 minutes in, we were up like.
We were up like
Braden-
12-4.
Braden himself had more points than the whole Fishers team, I think, going into halftime.
Yeah, because it
Crazy
was
game.
like 42-17 at half or something like that.
I think it was like 42-20, like low 20s.
Something like that.
Maybe 47-22. I can't remember.
And Braden just could not miss. Like he did
He was
not
insane.
miss.
His statement, like 30 seconds into the game, 30 seconds into the game, like from like 30 feet out, where he like drilled it with Charlie Smith in his face.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
That you could not have pictured a rowdier Westfield student section at that time.
You couldn't have pictured a better win.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got another good one. Our freshman year, it was early in the season. Double overtime win against
I was
Zion.
gonna say, that was
Against
gonna be
Zion.
one of mine that I
Oh my
mentioned.
gosh. That was kind of the, you know,
Yeah.
that was the start of a great sophomore campaign for Braden, and wow, that was a great game.
I remember. Oh,
Braden had 19.
Yeah.
Nick had 21 that night.
Really?
D-pass?
D-pass?
Yeah.
Huh.
what was I gonna say?
He didn't, he
yeah.
didn't have more than 17 points all year last year, like in a game, and he just drops that his sophomore year.
Yeah. Speaking of overtime, 2-point conversion
That's another one that I
at
was gonna bring up.
Brownsburg. The
To
football
ruin
team,
their homecoming.
to ruin their homecoming. They were the number 2 in the state behind Center Grove. Brownsburg was, not Westfield. Westfield comes in. Oh my gosh, we were not. Nobody in the HCC thought we were going to win that game, especially away at their homecoming.
Yeah.
Gosh, that
We
was
kept with
crazy.
them though. We kept chipping and double overtime comes. And
Yeah. I remember. I actually remember you. Neither of us went to the game, but I
No.
remember you texted me and you were like, you saw like the update
We're-
that we was like
Carson.
43-42 that we converted the 2-point. You were like, oh, you were texting me. You were like, oh my gosh, oh my god. You're like freaking out.
Was that a freshman year?
That was
I feel like-
sophomore year.
Sophomore year.
It was.
Okay.
It was during COVID because I
That's right,
remember
yeah.
watching the highlights and like there like had to be like social
Mm-hmm.
distancing in the stands.
So there were a couple of games that come to mind. That one being one. The sectional championship versus HSE
Oh yeah.
last year.
Really good.
Caleb King's
versus-
walk off.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was
Rooney
so
just
electric.
stormed
That was
the
so.
field.
Yeah, that was good.
The only thing that ruined that night was the people in the press box screaming besides us. You could hear that on the broadcast, which kind of ticked me off.
The best part about that night was when all the HSC students ran and were
Lined
about to
up.
storm the field, and then.
lined up at the gate.
But they forgot that Jack Wass, Micah Hauser, and Webster existed.
existed,
so.
yeah. All the basketball ones are good. But my favorite by far came from baseball season. I have 2.
19-1 versus Carmel.
3. 19-1 versus Carmel. Our win at Victory Field over Noblesville.
Yep.
And then our win over Center Grove, at Center Grove, 5-2. Center Grove was number 1 in the state. No one thought we would win that game. It was the exact same situation as the Brownsburg game. No one thought we would win. And we came out. Trey Jordan hit his first and only home run of his senior season. And it was an overall amazing game. Max Clark was in attendance as well, which was awesome because he had an off day, so we figured why not.
Vandy commit,
or he might
He's
get
probably
drafted.
going to the NFL yet, or not the NFL,
NFL.
MLB. Sorry,
He could go to the
wow.
NFL. He's pretty good at.
Talk about
he's a pretty good football
them
player.
Braves last night.
But yeah, so it was either one of those two or three. It's always good to beat Carmel. Winning at Victory Field, especially whenever I was there in the dugout, it was pretty awesome. And then Center Grove. So yeah. Do you have another one, Alan, or was that it, or that's it? All right.
Okay.
That is it for this.
Does it have to be it, Alan?
Does it have to be it, or can you think of another one? Can you try and find another one?
It's okay.
I'll
Now
find
we'll.
another one. Hold on.
He said he'll find another one.
Well,
wow.
While we wait, some preliminary thoughts from this group is that we're gonna host a game day type deal.
Yes.
Before the sectional game. We're not sure the details of that, but it's gonna be a fun opportunity. To interact the crowd. And, if you're listening to this and you want to be there, well, just let us know.
We should have a guest picker on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Send us a
should get,
DM.
either
and
a
ask for
Shamrock helmet or
details.
like a puppy dog, like plushie.
Yeah.
Ooh, we should get like a Westwood helmet to put like in the middle of the desk. That would be cool.
It'd be awesome. Alan, are we?
My God. Most clutch athlete in recent Westfield histories.
Most clutch athlete in recent Westfield history.
Okay.
Okay.
Caleb King's got to
It's
be
not
there.
hard.
Caleb King's got to be one. He's up there.
Give me Mr. Basketball.
Braden Smith.
Braden
not a hard
Smith.
question.
Yeah, especially whenever he had more than half our points in that Carmel game. He's pretty clutch.
Well,
Cam
only
Hafner's also pretty clutch.
I can't remember if it was the first or the second Carmel basketball game where only 3 of our players scored.
It was first
that
one.
was the first one.
It was Cam.
D-Pass
Braden,
had 2, but
D-Pass.
it was a goaltend.
It was a goaltending.
It was only he only had 2 points.
So it was an unofficial 2 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I'm trying to think.
was such a good win.
Who else? Ty Anderson. He's a junior this year. He's clutch for a lot of reasons, but his pitching. I mean, we've been in some sticky situations, and he's gotten out of them pretty easily. He's a great closer. I don't think he'll be in that role this year. He might be, depending on what Benel wants him to be in, but certainly he's one of the clutcher ones. Ben Jones from the tennis team. He saved a couple conference wins over opponents this year. He's been the last match. He's had everyone watching him, and he clutched up there. I'm trying to think. Liam Lloyd.
I was just about to say that name.
Liam Lloyd, goalie for our soccer team, was also really, really good. I think the final of the sectional game that they lost was 1-0. So you can't do much but
it was 2-0. No, 1-0.
1-0.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
1-0. But he's just plain and simple clutch. We've had a lot of really good athletes in Westfield the last couple of years, especially clutch ones. But those are just some that come to mind.
All right.
Off topic, but before we wrap up, I'd like to congratulate Evan Russ on the commitment to Ohio Northern University.
Yes,
Yes,
congratulations, Russ.
God, congratulations.
He led home runs on the baseball team for quite some time last year, so can't wait to see what he does this year.
He's going to be a force.
Awesome.
He's a power hitter and ready to go. Cool.
Oh, that's the bell. I think that's the sign for us to wrap it up.
That's our cue. Thank you guys for listening. We hope you enjoy, and we're excited for what the next couple weeks hold for Westfield athletics. And you know what? I'll let my guys join me here. 3, 2, 1, go Rocks!
Go
baby.
Rocks!
Oh, go Rocks! I did not.
I didn't know what we were doing there.
Peace.
Peace out, y'all.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.